Hi, welcome back. I'm Rachel and you're watching Kalkine TV live from Sydney. This is the Economic Corner Show, where we update you on all the biggest global economic announcements. First up is an economic update coming in from India and the EU. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi had a call on Monday in which a comprehensive trade deal to deepen economic ties were discussed. Both countries plan to announce relaunching of long-stalled negotiations, which were suspended back in 2013 on Saturday. Both the countries are facing challenges posed by the rise of China and its model of state-backed capitalism, and also the economic damage caused by the coronavirus pandemic. Therefore, the trade deal and resumption of talks is a priority for both countries. Moving on now to updates from the UK. Prime Minister Boris Johnson has hinted there may be resumption of travel from May the 17th as the European Commission announced plans to reopen to fully vaccinated tourists. The UK government would continue to take a cautious approach to lifting coronavirus travel restrictions. Ursula von der Leyen, the Commission's president, welcomed the recommendations but argued that an EU emergency brake mechanism may be needed. That's just in case new coronavirus variants begin to emerge. Meanwhile, India is fighting the second wave of the pandemic and reported around 370,000 COVID-19 infections on Monday, with the nation struggling to keep their citizens safe from the virus and provide medical aid to those hit. The government's failure to tackle the second wave has been highlighted. The country is facing a shortage of vaccines, and all major countries have come forward to help India with medical aid. Business leaders from the nation are pushing for stronger national steps to help combat the rising number of infections. Now for some important economic data announcements. US construction spending during March 2021 was estimated at a seasonally adjusted annual rate of $1,513.1 billion. That's 0.2% above the revised February estimate, according to the US Census Bureau. During the first 3 months of this year, construction spending amounted to $328.3 billion. That's 4.5% above the $314.1 billion for the same period back in 2020. Spending on private construction was at a seasonally adjusted annual rate of $1,169.2 billion. That's 0.7% above the revised February estimate of $1,160.9 billion. Meanwhile, US manufacturing activity grew at a slower pace in April, likely constrained by shortages of inputs amid pent-up demand unleashed by rising vaccinations and a massive fiscal stimulus. The Institute for Supply Management, or the ISM, said on Monday that its index of national factory activity fell to a reading of 60.7 last month. That's after surging to 64.7 in March, which was the highest level since December 1983. A reading above 50 indicates expansion in manufacturing, which accounts for 11.9% of the US economy. Now for some data from the Australian Bureau of Statistics, as the numbers of international trade in goods and services for Australia were released. The seasonally adjusted balance on goods and services surplus decreased $2,021 million to $5,574 million back in March from last month. Goods and services credits that its exports fell 2% to $38,274 million, while goods and services debits, that is, its imports, rose 4% to $32,700 million. Rural goods fell after cereal grains and cereal preparations fell from record high exports back in February. Non-rural goods rose, mostly driven by metal ores and minerals. Moving on now to updates from Australia's property market. Australian property prices jumped 1.8% in the month of April. That's according to the latest data from research house CoreLogic. While they indicate there is still plenty of momentum in the market, it does appear to be slowing down from its 2.8% growth back in March, which broke a 32-year record. And lastly, foreign ministers of G7 nations will meet face-to-face for the first time since before the pandemic. The officials will look at a proposal to counter Russian propaganda and disinformation. Madrid regional elections begin today after the Conservative regional leader Isabel Díaz Ayuso called a snap election as a clash intensified between centrist and right-wing parties at the national level. And breaking news now from the Reserve Bank of Australia, they are set to keep the cash rate unchanged at 10 basis points, a historical low of 0.1%. Governor Philip Lowe has previously said the cash rate will most likely be kept on hold until 2023. Now, before we wrap up the Economic Corner for today, Bill Gates, the Microsoft co-founder, and his wife Melinda have announced they're ending their marriage after 27 years. A social media post from the pair said that the fate of their marriage would not affect the work of their foundation, the world's largest private charitable organisation. That's all from the Economic Corner for today. Stay tuned for more latest news and market updates. My colleague Sage will be back here shortly with the Market Close report for today. I'm Rachel Jones, signing off for Kalkine TV.